Last fall, I pulled almost 4 pounds of fresh ginger out of a single container on my back patio. From one knobby piece of grocery store ginger that cost me $1 and change. No grow lights, no greenhouse, no special soil. Here's the thing. Most folks think ginger is fussy, tropical, something you can only grow if you live in Hawaii. I believe that too, right up until Gloria showed me her 3-year-old ginger plant thriving on a San Francisco balcony. I'm going to walk you through this in 4 steps, from picking the right piece at the store to harvest day. And stick around to the end, because there's one thing I add to the pot halfway through the season that doubles the size of those rhizomes. And almost nobody talks about it. That 4 pounds wasn't a guess. I set the whole harvest on my kitchen scale and watched it settle at 3 pounds, 14 ounces, from one knobby piece of grocery store ginger that cost me about $1.25. Here's the thing. Most folks treat ginger like it's some fussy tropical diva that only grows in Hawaii, so they either never try it or they kill it with cold, soggy soil. I believe that too. Then, Gloria showed me her 3-year-old ginger plant living happily in a single container on her cool, foggy San Francisco balcony. No greenhouse, no tropics. That one plant reframed the whole thing for me. Ginger isn't fussy, it's forgiving. So I'm going to walk you through 4 steps, from the store shelf to harvest day. And stick around to the end, because there's one thing I add halfway through the season that doubles the size of those rhizomes. Step 1. Pick the right piece at the store. This is where your whole harvest is won or lost, and it costs you almost nothing. When you're standing at the produce bin, you want a plump, firm rhizome, not shriveled, not soft, not dried out at the tips. Look closely at the knobby ends. You're hunting for several little bumpy growth buds. Those are the eyes, the same as the eyes on a potato, and each one is a place where a new shoot can push out. The piece I grew last year had 5 of them, and it cost me about $1.25. Now here's something I figured out the hard way. Go for organic ginger if you can. A lot of conventional grocery ginger gets treated to keep it from sprouting on the shelf, and you can wait 6 weeks and watch it just sit there doing nothing. That was my first failed attempt, a beautiful piece that never woke up because it had been told not to. Once you've got your piece, pre-sprout it before it ever touches soil. Set it on a damp paper towel in a warm spot, somewhere around 70 to 75 degrees. The top of the fridge works. Keep that towel damp for 1 to 2 weeks. When you see pale green nubs starting to swell out of those eyes, you know you've got a live one. The failure here is skipping this step and planting a piece that was never going to sprout. Pre-sprouting tells you, for free, whether your ginger is alive before you commit a whole container to it. The first time I saw those little green tips, I knew I was finally in business. Step 2. Plant it right. Start by soaking your sprouted rhizome in room temperature water overnight that wakes it up and rehydrates it after sitting on the counter. The next morning, break or cut it into pieces, making sure each piece has at least 2 or 3 eyes on it. More eyes, more shoots. If you cut it, let those cut faces sit out and dry over for a day so they callus, the way a scab forms. A raw cut shoved straight into wet soil is an open door for rot. Now the container, and this is the part most people get backwards. Ginger does not grow down. It grows sideways, fanning out just under the surface. So you want a wide, shallow container, not a deep, narrow one. I use a 14 to 16-inch fabric grow bag, at least 5 gallons. And the width matters far more than the depth. Mine sits in a row along my south fence. Fill it with a loose, compost-rich mix that drains well. Lay your pieces down with the buds pointing up and bury them shallow. Just 1 to 2 inches of mix over the top. That's it. The mistake I see again and again is folks burying ginger deep like a potato. Down there in the cold, wet bottom of a pot, it just rots. Gloria does it a touch differently on her balcony with a shallower tray, but the rule is the same, shallow and wide wins. When you've got those buds tucked just under the surface in a wide bag, you've set the table for everything that comes next. Step 3. Grow it through the season. Ginger likes warmth and gentle light, not blazing sun. Set your container in bright shade or where it catches soft morning sun. That hot afternoon, Sacramento sun will scorch the leaves. Keep the soil consistently moist, like a wrung-out sponge, but never waterlogged. And keep it warm. Below about 60 degrees, ginger just sulks and stops growing. Here's the part that tests you. After you plant, nothing happens. For 3 to 4 weeks, you'll stare at bare soil and wonder if you killed it. You didn't. Ginger is slow to wake up underground before it ever shows a green shoot. As Gloria likes to say, the hardest part of gardening isn't the growing, it's the waiting. So water it, keep it warm, and leave it alone. Once those first shoots break through, they'll grow into tall, leafy stalks over the spring and summer. This is a long crop. Figure on roughly 8 to 10 months from planting to harvest. That sounds like forever, but it asks almost nothing of you in the middle. The failure mode here is 2 things. 1, letting the bag dry out completely or sit in standing water. Either one wrecks the rhizome. 2, impatience, getting curious and digging around to see what's happening, which only disturbs the roots. My first season I almost dug in July just to peek. I'm glad I didn't. When you've got knee-high green stalks waving over that grow bag by midsummer, you'll know the engine underneath is running exactly the way it should. Step 4. Harvest day. This is the payoff, and it comes in the fall. Watch the leaves. When the season cools and the stalks start to yellow and flop over and die back, that's the plant telling you the rhizomes are plump and ready. Here in Sacramento, that lands around December, about 8 to 10 months after I planted. Stop watering a week or 2 before you harvest, which firms everything up and makes the dig cleaner. Then comes the best 10 minutes of the whole season. Tip the entire container over on its side, ease the root ball out, and crumble the soil away with your hands. You won't need a fork or a shovel. It lifts right out. And there it is, a whole knobby cluster of fresh ginger, pale and fragrant, where you started with one little dollar piece. That's where my 3 pounds, 14 ounces came from. 1 rhizome, 1 wide grow bag along the fence, no grow lights, no greenhouse, no special soil. I weighed it right there on my kitchen scale because I almost didn't believe it myself. Set aside a couple of plump pieces with good eyes, and you can start the whole cycle over again next spring. Free ginger forever. The first time you pull a harvest like that out of a single container, something clicks. You stop seeing ginger as a thing you buy and start seeing it as a thing you grow. Now, if what I'm showing you today is making sense, and you're starting to realize you can grow real food in one cheap container without a yard or a pile of money, I want to point you somewhere. I wrote a book called The 30-Day Kitchen Scrap Garden Protocol, and Chapter 4 is all about container gardening on zero budget, the same approach I used to turn a $3 bag of grocery potatoes into more than 100 pounds of food with illustrated diagrams for setting up your containers. It's $17 at backyardbuddybooks.com. If you're on your TV, grab your phone and point it at the QR code on screen. On a phone or laptop, the link's right below. No rush. Take your time pulling it up. I'll be right here. All right, let's keep going. Before harvest, let me save you from the 3 mistakes that wreck most people's ginger. First, planting in a deep, narrow pot. Ginger grows sideways, so a tall, skinny container starves the rhizome of the room it needs to spread, and you'll get a thin, stunted harvest. Use a wide, shallow one instead. Second, overwatering or leaving the container sitting in a saucer of standing water. Cold, soggy soil rots the rhizome from underneath, and you can lose the whole crop without ever seeing it coming. Keep the soil moist but freely draining, and never let it sit in water. Third, harvesting too early because you got impatient. Dig in the heat of summer, and you'll pull up thin, stringy, woody ginger that disappoints you. Wait until the leaves yellow and die back in the fall, and you'll get those plump, heavy rhizomes instead. Now, I told you at the start there's one thing I add to the pot halfway through the season that doubles the size of those rhizomes, and almost nobody talks about it. Here it is. Around month 4, for me that's mid-July in Sacramento, when the green shoots are knee-high, I work a quarter cup of kelp meal into a fresh 1-inch layer of compost and hill it right up over the base of the plant. Here's why it works. Most folks keep feeding ginger nitrogen, which only pushes out more leaves. Kelp meal is loaded with potassium, and potassium is the signal that tells the plant to stop bulking leaves and start swelling those underground rhizomes instead. And the fresh hilled layer does a second job. Ginger rhizomes naturally creep up toward the surface, so burying them triggers the plant to push out new finger growth, the exact same principle as hilling potatoes. That one trick roughly doubled my rhizome mass. Before I let you go, here's the thing about that ginger plant. You plant it once, and it'll keep giving you food for years, just like Gloria's. It's the guide I wish I'd had 10 years ago when I was killing tomato plants in my Portland apartment, convinced I just wasn't cut out for this. Chapter 9 of the book, The Long Game, is all about perennials and self-sustaining systems. Crops you plant once and harvest from for years. And it features Gloria's 20-year balcony system, the same Gloria whose 3-year ginger started this whole video. You'll find it at backyardbuddybooks.com. If you're on your TV, point your phone at the QR code on screen. On a phone, just tap the link below. Go ahead and pull it up now. No hurry, I'll wait. So that's how I get nearly 4 pounds of ginger from $1 grocery piece in a single container. Pick up one knobby rhizome this week and put it on a damp paper towel. Just one. And if this worked for you, try growing turmeric in a container the exact same way next. Until next time, keep growing your own food, my friend.